Hey guys, so another day, another video, and in this video we are going to talk about being good at what matters versus being good at everything. So let's get into it. What do I mean by this? Well, hopefully this can I think a few people can identify with this. I remember when I first started programming and I felt like there was like a million things that I needed to know. I felt like there was so many different technologies, tools, concepts. I'm going to be honest, I felt completely like a fish out of water. I was so overwhelmed so many times, and it made me, I felt a lot of doubt. I had a lot of self-doubt because it felt like for every time I learned one thing, there was three other things I needed to learn that one thing, and then when I wanted to learn those three things, I needed to learn six other things, and it just kept on snowballing on me, like knowledge snowballing, if you will, over and over and over. And it did not help much. I don't know if I'm not going to say that word, but I want you to know that I wanted to say it, the F word. But this is a family-friendly channel, or I try to make it a family-friendly channel as much as I can. But I remember that we had basically one of the consultancy chiefs here in Gothenburg. He's a local celebrity, if you will. He knows basically everybody in IT. He's been a Java guy for basically his entire career. He was basically a keynote speaker at my school. He came over this is a few years ago, of course. But he came over and he sat us through, like, he was talking about expectations and what we could expect from, like, going out in the workforce. And I have to say that, it was educational, but this person was so ill-equipped. I'm pretty sure that you know how somebody's been playing football their entire life, and then they, rather as an adult, they realize that, hey, I'm never going to make it into the major leagues, so I'm going to stop. How they can still somehow just in their mind, they're still good at football, but they're not. They lost their ability to play a long time ago. This is what happened here, because he basically explained to us that, well, he showed us all of the Java dependencies, all the libraries for Java, basically. And for those of you who are not Java people, there are a lot of libraries in Java, like a lot, insane amounts of libraries. It's been around for a long time, so you expect, and it basically can virtually do anything, right? You would expect there to be a lot of libraries, right? And he said to a group of college students who has never, like, none of us has ever worked in IT. And he basically points at all of these and he says, yeah, this is what you're going to have to learn in order to get a job. And we just sat there like, are you serious? We need to know all of that? Yeah, you need to know all of these packages. I want you to know that you're like me, if I was your boss, I would expect you to know all of these libraries. So I asked him, little tiny Frederick here I raise my hand and I say, so you know all of these libraries? And he looks and says, yeah, I think I know most of these libraries. And I asked him, how long did it take you to learn all of these libraries so that that you can use them in an effective manner? And he said, oh yeah, it took years. Just stop and think about that. I didn't say anything else. Like, I just kept quiet there and he kept on, doing his presentation. I'll touch on the next thing where he said, just think about that for a moment. He just said to a bunch of college students that in order for them to get a job, they basically have to have the experience of somebody who's been working for several years. Yeah, I don't know. Anywho, so I asked him, okay, what are other relevant technologies out there in the world? Like, you are a Java person, I understand that. How would you say that it's worth looking into things such as Angular or PhoneGap, like Cordova is what it's called today, basically, and stuff of that nature? And he said, well, yeah, I suppose it's relevant, but I don't even know, what's PhoneGap, what's that? I've never worked with that. I've never heard anybody use it. Okay. So, and Angular, stuff like that. Yeah, you know, it's on the map, but we don't pay much attention to it right now. This is not that long ago. Just putting it out there. This is basically when the Angular hype actually started to come around. Once again, here we have somebody who has most likely been you have to understand that what's most likely has happened is that this person has been a developer for a few years, or a great deal of his career he spent in IT, but he a long time ago put away his keyboard in favor of going to PowerPoint presentations because he's not coding anymore. He's not keeping himself updated. And now he's giving away life lessons, and like he's basically commenting on things that he has a bit of an outdated, you know, he has outdated information basically. And he's putting he's doing a lot of damage because he's scaring the shit out of all these kids, basically, these college kids. The anxiety, I mean, I don't think there was a single person in that room who went out and didn't feel like this is what am I doing? I will never be able to do this. He completely crushed the morale of that entire class by simply not actually understanding how things work in IT. And this is where I come in, and I want to tell you from somebody who is right now today working as a professional software developer. And it's actually funny because this guy has been trying to recruit me more than once. And this is all like, I've never actually accepted a job offer from him because he was also one of the people when I was in school who wouldn't take, he actually stated to the class that he doesn't accept any interns. He doesn't accept any junior developers because he can't make money off junior developers. And let's just say that he and I we don't really see eye to eye on a lot of things. And, you know, I've been out, he's an absolutely lovely person. Like, he's just a businessman. He's a true bred businessman. He just thinks in terms of value and resources. And, you know, the only time I actually became interesting for his company was when I had enough experience that he could basically make a profit off me like that. He didn't want to make an investment when I was in school because, you know, he couldn't convert me to money, but now he can convert me into money. So anywho, what I'm here to tell you is that you do not have to know every single tool out there. There are tools that you will need. There are things that you do in your everyday job, and the rest you acquire by just working in the environment. You will never know everything about programming, so don't beat yourself up because you don't know every single library in Java. If we take Java as an example, you are ready to go out and do actual work when you know how to put up a web application, like you know how to create a web server, you know the syntax of, I assume that you know how to write things in the language. But when you can put up a web server, you understand how the GPA, or like the precision, you know how to work with databases, things of that nature. You know how to validate a user, like how does a login form and like all of this stuff work? How does like session management and all these common everyday boilerplate things work? When you know these things, the rest you will learn through actually being out in the field and learn by doing, basically. If somebody's telling you that you need to know everything about Java or C# or whatever language you're looking for, if they're telling you that you need to know it all in order to get a job, they are lying to you, or they're just very out of touch with reality. Because as I said earlier, if it took him several years to learn all the things, then by logic, no one would ever be able to go out and actually make a living. So don't believe these people who tell you that you need to learn everything, because you don't have to learn everything. You just have to learn the things that are important. And depending on what you want to learn, like I will just assume that for you, most of you out there, it's going to be web-based programming. It's going to be my favorite list, as I've given this list several times. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, server-side language, in this case it was Java, and you need to learn how to know how to use databases. On that list as well, depending on what you like, login forms, session management, that type of thing. These are the basic bare bone things that you need in order to create a production level application. The rest you will learn on the job for the most part. So because trust me, like what relevant, like I would even want to, I would probably go back in time and I would love to ask him, like, how many times have you used, I don't know, the graphics rendering part of Java's library in your everyday job? And because you apparently know it, or the embedded solutions. Do you work in that? No, you don't. For the most part, you're never going to touch that. You can do it if that's part of your job, but for the most regular programmers, it's not part of their everyday job. And it's actually, I think, very unreasonable. Even companies will tell you these things. Some companies with a very poor understanding of how the world actually works will try to convince you that you need to know everything about everything. And the fact of the matter is that there's so much to learn that they're going to be in one or two positions. Either they're going to have to basically not hire anybody, because for the most part they're not going to find anybody who can meet all of their ludicrous criteria, or they're going to have to make a compromise and hire somebody that is fairly close. And then if we're already negotiating on the idea that you need to know everything, then it becomes a sale pitch. It just becomes about knowing enough, and that's exactly what I'm trying to argue for you here. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing the right things, the things that are most relevant, the most common things that are you find out there in the world. So don't beat yourself up about, and just relax. Learn the basics and learn the most common things out there, and then that's going to be more than enough. So, don't beat yourself up. It's going to work out.